Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Yolanda, and in today's video I'm going to be telling you guys about my struggle with living with depression. And so it is something that I've been relatively recently diagnosed with, and something that I want to just share with you guys, not as like a self-pity or whatever kind of video, but like honestly just like as like an advocacy type video, that it's just to be real with you guys, because I know there's a lot of influencers, and like I know I'm not at that point yet, but a lot of influencers that are out of touch with like reality and not understanding some real life things. And I know like this might be a different case because some celebrities and all might, so they have stuff like this, but I'm just gonna be real with you guys, not going I need to keep some things personal, but this is something that I did want to share. And for a while, to be honest, to show that like if you are struggling with it too, like you are not alone. And this isn't to make me look weak or whatever, but no, I'm just being real and showing you guys that I'm a real person going through real stuff, and that at the end of the day I might tell you guys my story and yada yada like the prior two videos, but at the end of the day it's real trauma, and this is like real effects of it, and so yeah, so let's get right into this. Okay, so honestly, like growing up, I never thought that I would really like be like diagnosed with something like this. Being black, and on top of that, just it has that stereotype of like, oh yeah, like we don't suffer through through any of this. Like I know like my parents would be like if I was to mention like, oh, like depression or like anxiety or like even like, oh yeah, like I'm feeling signs of like wanting to like end my life or whatever, it would just be more over like addressed as like, oh, you're just doing that for attention. And you know like how it is sometimes, like if you guys like have parents like that, like you understand like where I'm coming from. Like it was just like, no, those things don't exist in our family. Or they might like acknowledge like, yes, like my aunt, uncle, grandma or whatever like experienced that, but we don't experience that. Like we are sane here. And it's just like, so like when things would happen and be addressed, it would just I feel like it was very like much this image of like no, this can't like happen to us, when really like you can still be sane but be suffering through like going through mental crisis or mental illness disorder, XYZ. You get what I'm saying here. But yeah, so either way, like I grew up with that. And then on top of that, growing up in the Mormon church, I definitely felt like it was just and this is once again my experience, but I definitely feel like those things like could not be addressed. So already there's a whole bunch of things you can't do, and so on top of that, it just also felt taboo to mention like mental health. Like I feel like a huge part of it was just like you have to be okay, and that like putting other people's needs above your own. Like I know, like especially like going through like activity days in young women's, which is like what children and teenage girls, and for activity days, I don't know if that was boys actually, I don't think so actually, never mind. But going through those, it was just like you have to be okay. And it's just like, and I feel like that's that's a part of the reason like why like I got to my breaking point, and it was just like I'm just so done. Because honestly, like in that moment when I like realized that I didn't want to like be in the church or whatever, I just realized I had enough, and that it was okay to not be okay. Because I feel like so often like the emphasis of the idea of like like that everything's okay, and they're like, oh yeah, like I'm happy all the time. Like literally all the time people would be like, oh my gosh, like how are you so happy, and yada yada yada. And just like I don't know, if I wasn't, then it would be like I don't know, like a whole big deal, or like, oh, like you need to repent or whatever, like just things along that line. And it definitely made more toxic, because I think it's really good to be open up about stuff. And that's one thing I like about the churches that I've like just experienced like past being in the Mormon church. And it's just like they're not afraid to bring up topics. And I think that it was so good bringing up that past to really heal and to understand what happened, and to forgive that part of myself, or to forgive a person if they may have hurt me, so that I can truly move on and be a better person and learn from those. But I feel like if we don't address problems and personal issues going on, then it just lingers. And like I feel like deep down over the years, that's how like I developed my depression. And especially on top of the other like mental and physical abuse that I experienced with my family, that 100% also contributed. I think definitely both of them individually contributed it, but definitely in some aspects one more than the other, but either way though. So yes, now the whole idea that I did mention that I don't want to miss is the whole idea of like putting other people's needs above you. Like I feel like that's a big thing, and it's like, you know, good to be there for each other. And in some moments, like I feel like yes, we do need to put other people before. It's like, I know sometimes, I remember growing up, I had to give away my clothes to my cousins and all. I definitely think like, and once again, not to say that putting other people's needs are like above my own, but sometimes like we have to put like ourselves first, like even when it's like maybe helping somebody mentally or whatever. But sometimes instead of like trying to be that person to help people and to get them to do all this stuff, we need to do the reflection on ourselves and in our lives and really, you know, see where we can improve. Because I feel like when we can be our best like selves, then we can help people to get to their like better potential, and you know what I'm saying? Okay, but either way though, so yes, that's just kind of how, you know, just growing up with. And even let's just talk about other things. Like, so when I went to emancipation court or whatever, I had to do like a psychological evaluation. And one point that I, you know, did want to mention is that like when defects came and all, that was when my parents started becoming more concerned about, let's say, if I had those kinds of thoughts, even though in front of like the defects people, they would be like, oh, she was just doing it for attention. Once again, the whole idea of like, no, like my child is not going through that was definitely a huge thing. Because I remember even in one part of the evaluation, it mentioned like how my dad was saying that like when I was, mind you, 4 years old, refused to give him a hug, and how he took that to heart and didn't hug me after that. And when I read that, because I'm not gonna lie, I didn't read that part when I initially first had looked over it, but because I was mainly focusing on the diagnosis they had told me, so I was looking into details of that. But when I read that just literally like a week ago, when I was playing out this video, I was like, do you know like how insane it is? Like and they're saying like, oh, like how I isolate myself and stuff like that. And it was definitely because it was just a lot. And like, and you know, part of the reason why I wanted to leave. And then when you're put back into the situation, or like when I wasn't really even let out into another whole family or whatever, I would stay in my room to avoid that conflict, unless I would hear my name being talked with, or unless they were doing something to my siblings or trying to come to me or whatever. Then I would try to like, you know, confront them or whatever. But a lot of the time, especially when the whole emancipation process happened and when they had essentially declined me or had postponed originally the whole trial date, I stayed in my room the whole time. And you know, throughout this whole process, before defects and all got involved, I was never in therapy until after the fact. But I think it's interesting, like, because there's other things that he'd mentioned other than the whole hugging situation when I was 4 years old. But if you saw those signs from a young age, and clearly a 4-year-old can't like logically think, right? If you saw those things, then it's like maybe, you know, should have done something about it, but simply not really. And so, but I think that's also because I don't think my parents believe in at least getting therapy. Like their child doesn't need therapy, or at least they don't need therapists, at least to like, you know, heal through things that they went through. Like, and just once again, like, stemming down from the whole like everybody else is like this but we should not be like this. But it's like, no, everybody goes through stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody's gonna have like, just go through, even if it's just like short periods of going through something. Like we all go through stuff, and some people may suffer with anxiety, some people may suffer with PTSD or like depression like me. And it's like, it shouldn't be such a taboo thing, but somehow, some way it is. Because I know, like, I mean, there's people that range on the spectrum, but at the end of the day, it can still be, you can still have the same thing as somebody, but just maybe not to the extent of. But it's so sad, like in society, like how like people like that are treated or not taken as seriously, you know. And like, because I do remember like when defects came out, and I told them about my whole thoughts when I was like 12, 13 years old. They were just like, okay, she's crazy. And it's just like, a girl needs help, and maybe this is a cry from help, especially since, you know, she's trying to explain to you the whole like, you know, family dynamic. But you know, once again leaning more on the parents' discretion, which is really sad, you know, like how that's the reality of it. But yes, so basically, I think once again, like trailing back, definitely like just everything and a lot of things in my life, I think just all contributed with the church and with my parents, and then just like having to just deal with it and be denied and not helped as much as I'd like to, have all contributed to my depression and all. And I think leaving 100%, like the summer after senior year, like literally week after graduation, it definitely helped a lot being in a better environment. But at the end of the day, like I thought it would fully go away and I would feel better, and I really thought it was like a quick of a flip of a switch, but it really wasn't like that. And you know, going into college, you know, like partially like I struggled a lot at the beginning of the semester, and it's only November now, I get it, but that first month I was fine until like mid-August, and then a little bit in September. It was just like it felt like a lot was coming at me, and I just didn't feel like as motivated to go to class, do my work, go to practice, talk to people other than like the people from my school or whatever. And it was just like, and also like not really having the family support as I'd like from my parents. It just contributed to a lot. But definitely, and also just thinking like, because you know, I'm trying to like, of course, my faith and all in God, I definitely wanted to like, you know, at least like lean on Christ. But and I was like, you know what, no, I don't need medication, yada yada yada. But looking back, and I'm so grateful for like my mentor who's helped me a lot to understand this, but it's not, and it should not be like a shameful thing if you need to be medicated. You know, I thought, you know, just solely through Christ, and yes, he can heal and do all this stuff, but he has provided us, this is what she helped me understand, he has truly provided us these resources. And not to say you need to forget God, but resources of the medication and God together. Like, and I tell you, like my life has changed so much, and it's like I'm more motivated even with YouTube to make content, even though I'm a little bit behind, but like I'm still, you know what I'm saying. And definitely like when I kid you not, like literally the first day I got on it, like I felt like a new woman. I was just like, what? Like it was so crazy. But like I'm just honestly so grateful for like science in general, because like truly I would not be here with you guys. Not to say that I was gonna end myself, no, but like it was just a lot, and I probably just would have given up more on YouTube, right? But definitely there is, you know, like I haven't noticed any cons of using it yet, besides there was a short period when I needed a refill and I went on like a conference trip, and that was like a whole mess. But other than that though, just all I know to say is that like it doesn't matter at the end of the day like whose fault or what I might have contributed to my depression. At the end of the day, I'm glad to still be here with you guys, because that's honestly such a blessing, because there's been multiple times where I was just like so over with life. But I thank God above all, and for those who have been along with me the way and who have stood by my side and have been advocates for me, you know, I greatly appreciate you guys. And it's not a shameful thing to be going through a hard time or to be suffering. Like you are truly not alone, and I wish more people would open up and be like, hey, like I'm going through it too. And like I know a lot of people on the outside may look, oh my gosh, like have it all together, which is why I got like such a huge response of like, oh my gosh, I would have never imagined that was going on. And it's just like, yes, because you know, like so for so long I was hiding that part and I was trying to make everything okay. But like it's okay to not be okay, and that's what I want to tell you guys here. And what my channel is about is spreading advocacy for child abuse, but also for mental health awareness, and just sharing my story and being real with you guys that like it's a real thing, but we can get through it. And yes, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed and maybe were inspired, and make sure to share this video. It means a lot to be able to just, you know, for anybody to hear. So for anybody who has depression, you are not alone, you are loved, you're worthy, and you're meant to be here. And so please don't give up. I promise you, like I've been like in deep waters, but you will make it through. You will 100% make it through. And my life has, you know, even though coming out of it, it was just like but overall, like I'm here, I'm making it every single day. I'm putting my trust in God, and with him nobody and nothing can stop. And so yeah, hope you guys have a amazing rest of your day. Peace is already out.